Good evening, everyone. We'll call to order the City Council Community Services, Public Safety, Housing and Development Committee meeting for May 24th, 2022. And Madam Clerk, if we can have the roll call and posting of the agenda, please.
Member Zaragoza,
Here.
Member Madrigal,
Here.
Chair McDonald.
Here.
The agenda for this meeting was posted on the City Hall bulletin board on May 17th, 2022.
Thank you. And Mayor, if you'd lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, and also we'll do a moment of silence for the folks down in Uvalde, Texas, a terrible tragedy they had to deal with today.
Thank you. Please follow me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you all. Okay, this takes us to item B on the agenda, public comments on items not on the agenda. I didn't see any advanced speakers. I don't know if anyone signed up since then. No speakers.
Mayor Pro Tem, we do not have any public speakers at this time. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Takes us to item C, consent agenda. Subject is approval of the minutes that the Community Services, Public Safety, Housing and Development Committee approved the minutes of the May 10th, 2022 regular meeting as presented. Have the members had an opportunity to read the minutes?
Yes, sir.
Any changes or additions?
No.
No?
Nope. Need a
Okay.
motion?
Yes, sir.
A motion to approve? Second.
Okay, Madam Clerk, we have a motion by Mayor Zaragoza, a second by Councilmember Madrigal. If we could all vote, please.
Thank you. Motion passes 3-0.
Okay, thank you. That takes us to item number D1, report from the Police Department. And the subject is animal safety services with the County of Ventura. And the recommendation is that the Community Services, Public Safety and Economic Development Committee recommend the City Council approve a budget appropriation with a total cost projected to be in the amount of $2,156,159 and authorize the mayor to sign a service level request for fiscal year 22-23 for the third year of a 5-year agreement, A8151, with the County of Ventura to provide animal safety services. And pursuant to Measure M, there was a pre-recorded presentation on the city's YouTube channel. And the contact person is listed as Jason Benitez, but I see Assistant Chief Shading her here and Commander Ramon. So are there any questions that the committee have of staff regarding this item?
Only this is a is it a 3-year agreement, I think?
It was a 5-year agreement, sir.
A 5-year?
Yes.
A 5-year agreement,
This is
okay.
the 3rd year of the agreement.
Okay, and I think some of the services that are provided, Mr. Chair, was confiscation. In other words, going after the dogs. Is that correct? And
I'm sorry.
can you hear me now?
A little bit
Okay, much better. So the services that are provided are enumerated here on slide 5, which is quite a bit of services are providing for that: the confiscation and boarding, impoundment, quarantine, and adoption, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So those are all the services that are given with the 5-year commitment.
That's a partial list, sir.
It's only a partial list.
That's a partial list, sir. And if I can introduce, we also have members of the leadership team from the Ventura County Animal Services to answer some of these questions more thoroughly for you.
Excuse
No,
me.
I just
Mayor.
wanted to share that that's a lot of service,
I'm sorry, sir.
it's a lot of service that they're providing, for the city, which I think
Yes,
is
sir.
great. And
Excuse me a second, Mayor. Madam Clerk, do you have a comment?
Yes, Mayor Pro Tem. We have one public
one
speaker.
public, okay.
One public speaker?
Let me-
Okay.
I'll go
Thank
ahead and
you.
stop here.
Let's go ahead and take the public speaker then.
Okay, thank you.
public speaker with phone number ending in 8387. Yes,
hello,
thank you.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. May I please have your name?
Yes, Douglas Portello.
Thank you. You have 3 minutes to speak. Please go ahead.
Okay, and this is a non-agenda item, correct?
No, this is an agenda item.
No.
This is for,
Okay, I didn't get an opportunity to speak on non-agenda. I hit *9 to raise my hand, but I wasn't called.
Okay, Madam Clerk, let's go ahead and reopen public comments not on items not on the agenda, and we'll let Mr. Portillo speak for 3 minutes.
sure.
Very good. I sure appreciate that. Good evening, Chair, Council member, Committee Services, Council Committee members, staff, and the public. I just attended the Finance and Governance Committee meeting, and I wasn't given the opportunity, nor was the public given the opportunity to speak. It's my understanding for all of these meetings, which I think applies to this meeting, as well as all City of Oxnard meetings, that the rules have changed, that prior you had to go onto the website and fill out the form and request to speak. So now my understanding is that you can call in during the meeting, and I got that information on the agenda item off the website, and that the clock would start at 3 minutes to allow time for people to call in during the meeting. So I wasn't afforded that opportunity, and I have a concern about access to our local government that is not being allowed in these types of meetings. So that's a major concern. I believe that's a Brown Act violation as well. And this meeting is no exception, where the public needs to have their opportunity to speak. And many times I've not been able to unmute, and maybe that was technical issues, but it's just happened with a frequency that just seems more than coincidental. So I'm hopeful that this will get looked into, because our access to local government is part of our democracy. It's a cherished and fundamental right for us to speak to, and our local government to speak to us and inform us, to ask questions and just participate in the great experiment that our founding fathers established. So I have a real concern here for Oxnard in terms of access to our local government and the ability to speak to our local government, and for them to answer questions and speak to us. I have rarely had the opportunity to ask a question and actually get an answer or response. I recall in other meetings in the past, when Mayor Tim Flynn was here, that staff would be directed right during the meeting to go ahead and answer that question with the appropriate staff member or a member of the committee or the council to respond and answer that question. And that just doesn't seem to be happening anymore. So I have a real concern there. And I hope that's a concern that's shared by these committee members and member of our city council, our
Your
IT
time is up.
department.
Mr. Chair.
Mr. Portello, thank you very much for the comments. Unfortunately, because this is an unagendized item, we're not allowed to engage in any deep discussion or anything else, but staff has heard your comments and we'll look into the matter. Mr. Roselle, do you have any?
Yes, I want to briefly respond just for the record. Under state law, we are not required to allow Zoom calls. We are going above and beyond what the state law requires. I also note for the record that we are in open session. Anyone can walk in off the street and participate and speak if they choose to do so. So I disagree that we are in violation of the Brown Act. Although Mr. Portello, if he wishes to make such a claim, he is free to make his demand upon the city.
Mayor, you have a comment?
Mr. Chair, can I, a 2-second comment? You know, I'm the chair of the Finance and Governance Committee, and I did call for comments on items on the agenda when I first opened the meeting, and there was none that I could see and none on the board. And again, the chair did not, the clerk did not have any items showing that we had a speaker. Otherwise, would have been happy to allow people to speak, and that's important to me. I just want to share that. And you can look at the video once if you want.
No, absolutely. Once again, our chambers is open. We are not
Absolutely.
under the COVID protocol with the lockdown. So people have multiple ways in which to engage their elected officials.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you all very much. We will return to item D1 and Councilmember Madrigal, any comments on this?
Actually, one quick question concerning, I don't know, I think this is more of a county question, but does the city of Thousand Oaks and Santa Paula do their own, are they excluded from the county aspect, so they have their own animal service aspect since they're not a part of the chart that was provided in the report?
I'd have to refer that question, sir, to maybe Jackie Rose, the Director of Ventura County Animal Services.
Ms. Gillespie, would you like to respond to that?
Hi, this is Jackie Rose. I'm the director for
Oh, I'm sorry.
Animal Service, and I'm happy to be here with you this evening. And yes, that's a great question. The city of Santa Paula, as well as the city of Thousand Oaks, do not contract with us for animal control services. Santa Paula contracts with, well, the city contracts with themselves. They provide their own services, and then they utilize Spark, which is a small shelter in Santa Paula, to provide their sheltering services. And the city of Thousand Oaks actually contracts with the city of, with the county of LA for their services. That's why they're not included.
Okay, thank you very much.
Sure.
Thank you.
Can I one more question?
Sure.
Rose, or maybe the police officer, if we have a vicious animal, that's out there in the street, threatening the public and so forth, do we contact the county or do we go ahead and take care of the problem?
We have animal control officers working for the city, sir. So we would be contacting our dispatch center at the police department.
We have our own then?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so,
They do supplement our services when we're short-staffed, but primarily the calls would go to us.
okay, so in the same way with the stray animals and an injured animal too.
Correct, sir.
A
Yes,
dog
sir.
gets run over and he's on the street hurting and so forth, then,
We would handle that as well, sir. Yes.
thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Commander. Just a couple general comments. I know we've kind of transitioned the licensing aspect over to the county of Ventura, and they also follow up on that where we used to do that here. There's probably been one or two little hiccups, but I have to compliment the county staff on being very responsive when I've called or on behalf of constituents, and they've worked tirelessly to make everything right. So I truly appreciate the county's efforts on this front. And being a dog owner, it's a little different system for me to understand, but my dogs are licensed. It's a new way of doing things. So I do appreciate the services that they are providing. So
Thank you, sir.
And additionally, I'd like to share, I'm, a board member right now with the animal shelters, and I think they're doing a really, really good job. And
Yes. they-
I know it's not in the agenda, but potentially we're going to get a new animal shelter there in Camarillo. So thank you for that.
what's the pleasure of the committee?
Move to approve.
Second.
Madam Clerk, we have a motion by Councilmember Madrigal, second by Mayor Zaragoza. If everyone would vote, please.
Motion passes 3-0.
Thank you very much. Thank you,
Thank you.
Commander. Takes us to item C2, Fire Department. Subject is purchase order with Motorola for $777,000, $777,385.26. And Chief, it always amazes me when we're talking about $750,000, we got to throw that 26 cents in there, but that's okay. It's for 73 radios. And the recommendation is that the Community Services, Public Safety, and Housing and Development Committee recommends that City Council authorize the mayor to sign a purchase order with Motorola Solutions in the amount of $777,385.26 for the purchase of 33 APX 8500 radios, all band mobile radios, and 40 APX 8,000 all band portable radios with spare batteries and remote speaker microphones. And pursuant to Measure M, there was a pre-recorded presentation on the city's YouTube channel. And Chief Hamilton is here. If the committee members have any questions regarding this contract.
So Chief, I think one of the things that you mentioned too, that radios had to be compatible with the county radios to communicate, out of Camarillo, correct?
Yeah, that's correct. The other benefit to these radios is they're multi-band radios, so it actually fixes a communications gap that we've had it for a while. That was really apparent in the Woolsey fire because LA County was on a different system and we didn't have radios to communicate directly with LA County at that time. So these radios will also address that issue for us as well.
And there's mobile ones, and what was the other ones? I can't remember.
Yeah, so the mobile ones will actually go in our response apparatus.
Right.
And then the portables are the ones that our personnel will carry on them.
Mhm. Well, I think they're needed, and I think it's extremely important. So when we dial 911, we will make sure that you also have mutual agreement, right, with the county, correct?
That's correct.
And so if something happens near their trucks, or they can respond accordingly, which I think is really excellent. And by the way, I've been over to the command center there in Camarillo. It's just absolutely excellent, really, really great state of the art.
Yeah, it really is. And we now have a common radio plan. And so every single radio in the county has exactly the same radio plan on it. And so everyone knows exactly what channel to turn to depending on who they need to communicate with.
Great.
Member Madrigal, any comments? Okay.
I'll make a motion to approve and say.
I'll second.
Can I say something?
Oh, I'm sorry. You're wearing your.
Unless you guys want to cut me off.
I
but-
can't see you when you're moving with your mask on.
My wife says I look better with a mask on. I just think it's important that we're keeping compatibility up with the radio systems, and speaking from a prior life, there's nothing worse when you go to a mutual aid situation and find out you can't communicate with anyone because you're on your own separate little system and nothing works quite right. So I would fully support this. So we have a motion by the mayor, a second by Councilmember Madrigal, and a vote, please.
Motion passes 3-0.
Thank
Okay,
you.
Thank you all. Takes us to item D3. Housing Department. Subject is United States Department of Housing and Urban Development's role in addressing the housing crisis and homelessness. And the recommendation is that the Community Services, Public Safety and Housing and Development Committee 1 receive a report on the United States Department of Housing and Urban Development's Housing Choice Voucher Programs progression over time to respond to changing housing needs, and 2, direct staff to prepare and present to the Oxnard Housing Authority Board of Commissioners a comprehensive proposal to respond to the housing crisis with a homeless services program inclusive of the continued solicitation of special purpose vouchers, future voucher project-based commitments, and adoption of a local preference in support of homeless individuals. And again, pursuant to Measure M, there was a pre-recorded presentation on the city's YouTube channel, and Mr. Ramirez is here from the housing staff. If committee members have any questions or comments there.
Well, I'm not sure if the councilman has any questions, but can you give us a little bit more information on this? I know that you had a pre-recorded item, but maybe something that summarizes.
Thank you, sir. Emilio Ramirez, Housing Director. Yeah, the item in front of you is fairly involved, and for that, I apologize, but thank you for the opportunity to try to debrief it a little bit. Essentially, what we're seeking is consensus from the committee and the council and the city that the Oxnard Housing Authority engage in the provision of housing opportunities for otherwise homeless persons. And to do that in a way that is comprehensive about an ultimate solution to homelessness, which we think is stability in housing. And that housing authorities have been involved in those functions really since the beginning of housing authorities, since the Housing Act in 1936. There are a myriad of ways that housing authorities could be involved in that ultimate solution to homelessness, which is stability of housing, including provision of vouchers, including case management, but also seeking to develop additional housing via project basing of those vouchers. As everyone knows, I'm sure it's not a secret to anyone. We just don't have enough units in order to lease when a Section 8 voucher or any kind of voucher is made available. And so what we're seeking here is consensus and direction to come back before you and the full council to present a homeless participation plan from the Oxnard Housing Authority. Also within the staff report is identifying that we do have some vouchers that are specifically for homeless, emergency housing solution vouchers, mainstream, the housing set aside vouchers that were adopted by the Board of Commissioners in previous years. And we have moved forward in project basing some projects, Ormond Beach Villas, for example, and current projects that are under development by Cabrillo and by community development partners that are seeking to project base vouchers for the production of new housing for availability of homeless persons. I know I went through it very briefly, but I'm happy to get into it more detail if you'd like, and happy to answer any questions.
Questions, Mayor?
No.
No.
No discussion.
Councilmember, any questions?
One, I guess, comment. I don't know if it becomes a question, but I'll begin as, I guess, comment. As with anything, I know this process is going on for a couple of years, probably going on for decades here in the state. But the key thing is always housing is a human right. And as with anything with the Section 8 vouchers, as I've experienced even before, I was on council. There's always, someone who's unhappy with the process. Going through this process, in a weird way, there's winners and losers. How do we make this be equitable for everyone? I understand, depending on the day of the week that this is presented, the key thing might be homelessness. But if we present it tomorrow, the key thing might be farm workers. You present the next day, it might be, I don't know, it might be, future doctors, whatever the case may be. The key thing with this is when we go through the entire process, I don't want someone to say that their particular group has been forgotten in the process of getting the Section 8 voucher, not only getting a voucher, but actually finding somewhere to live. So how are we going to go through that aspect of it?
Thank you, Councilman. That is a great question. And first of all, the program that the Housing Authority operates, Section 8 public housing, is one that is already focused to some extent. It's limited to persons that make a very low income household income, so 50% of the income. So there is already a focus on poverty alleviation, if I can say that right. But beyond that, there is a intent by HUD and by the regulations that it imposes that every local jurisdiction identifying its own needs, and that those needs be fluent depending on the time and the period. So for example, in the plan that we adopted, that the council approved and we adopted, there was a preference within that plan for farm worker families, because we heard from the community that was a need in Oxnard. If we had been in a different city, maybe more urban, maybe that need would not have presented itself. But we are seeing that in Oxnard, there is a need for that farm worker, large families, and also homelessness. I think homelessness need is evidence everywhere in California and in Oxnard. So we are trying to respond to that need. If one day, or when one day we succeed in ending homelessness, then we will look to serve a different population depending on what is the need in Oxnard. And for that matter, I look and welcome any advice, including from yourselves, as to a need that we are not serving, so that I can research it and try to incorporate that into our policies as well.
Thank you.
Yeah, so Mr. Chair, I was just looking at Emilio at the from the U.S. Department of Housing, where you're looking at you mentioned addressing homelessness in the housing choice program, voucher program, and the VASH, I think is what you called it, the Veterans Housing Veteran Funding, and also Unifying Family Program. There's 4 items that I picked up. Is that basically what we're looking at right now?
Those are what the staff report refers to as special purpose vouchers.
Okay.
We have VASH, which is Veteran Assisted Supportive Housing, so homeless veterans. We have FUPs, which is family unification, so a person or a family that is separated because of housing instability, in this case, homelessness.
Okay.
Emergency housing vouchers, which are specifically for chronically homeless. Mainstream vouchers, which are available to a person that is disabled or exit an institution where disability could be chronically homeless. So there are a myriad of, and for that matter, the homeless set aside provision that was included in our plan starting in 2015. So there is a myriad of different ways. Project basing, producing more housing units that are in stock in Oxnard so that people have an opportunity to actually use the vouchers. What we're proposing is, number one, to acknowledge that we are actively involved in the provision of housing to serve the homeless need. That's something that everybody acknowledges and supports. And as things come forward, whether it's a new allocation of EHE vouchers or some new voucher that HUD may think up, if it is supportive of the need to serve homelessness or some other policy that we engage in, as Councilman Madrigal mentioned, maybe it's farm workers, then we actively pursue that. And that's essentially what we're asking the committee and the council to support, is identifying a plan that includes our knowing and active participation in the delivery of solutions for homelessness.
So that fits into the unification of the family program.
Family unification program is one where if because of their homelessness, the family has lost custody of their children. So in order to regain custody of their children, the FUP provides housing stability, therefore a reunification of that family.
So do we work with the county on that?
We do. We work with the county on that program, the mainstream voucher program, the emergency housing voucher program, provide referrals back and forth. Those things are working. Admittedly, they could work better. Stumbling blocks by a lot of factors, not the least of which is expensive to live in Oxnard, and we just need more units. But nonetheless, those things do work, and they are providing solutions.
Working together.
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Good. Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Ramirez. I will move the recommended action.
Bless you.
So that's you. Second.
And we have a second by Mayor Zaragoza. We would vote, please.
Mayor Pro Tem, may I please confirm that we have a first by Member Madrigal and a second by Mayor Zaragoza?
Soy yo for the first.
You were the first.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem.
So you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Motion passes 3-0.
Okay, that takes us to item E, items for future agendas. Do any of the members have an item for future agendas?
No.
No?
No.
Okay, that will take us to item F, adjournment, and we will adjourn at 7:14.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Thank you for staff and all your efforts.